morning, good afternoon, good evening to Onwards and Upwards, AMN's show for global healthcare workers. I am Danielle Friedman, your host this morning. So excited to be here with everybody. I'm here as the Director of Special Projects at AMN Healthcare, where we have both staffing and direct hire. We are the only company in the United States to have both staffing and direct hire. And we have many opportunities all over the United States. We actually have a handy little map that shows all of our opportunities. So let's bring that up. As you can see, the United States is outlined. So our opportunities are constantly changing. We have opportunities in staffing. We have opportunities in direct hire. And we would love to help you reach your American dream, just like we have for many nurses before you. So if you are interested in coming to the United States with AMN Healthcare on both staffing or direct hire, you can apply today at amnhealthcare.com/international. Today we have a very exciting show. It's our once a month immigration update. You will have your chance to ask live questions to our immigration experts. You can put your questions in the chat and we will be taking questions live on our legal hotline. So if you want to come on, get your red lipstick on just like me, and you can come on live and ask your questions to our experts live. So that will be a little bit later in the show. So please, everybody, let me know where you're watching from. I love to see where our viewers are watching from. Let's take a look. I know we have people from all over the world. Good morning and good evening. We have Odang from Saudi, Omalade from Nigeria, Priscilla from Africa. I'm also from Africa, Priscilla, so nice to see a fellow countryman. Charles from Ghana, Cindy from Costa Rica. We are covering the whole world, everybody. So it is great to see everybody. So happy to have you here. Once again, you are joining our live immigration Q&A. We're going to have our attorney experts on, and you can put your questions in the chat or join us live for our legal hotline. So before we bring our attorney experts out, we are going to bring Diadra, one of our managers here at AMN International, on for Dream Jobs with Dee. Hi, Dee. Good morning.
Good morning, Danielle. How is everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening in from. I am so happy to be back for Dream Jobs with Dee. Just like Danielle, I love seeing where everybody is watching from. I see that we have some participants from Ireland as well. So I am originally from Ireland myself. So welcome, Karen. I saw that you were calling in from Ireland. So very excited. You remember last show, we talked about North Carolina, Georgia, and Missouri. Well, this time we're going to be talking about some exciting exclusive interview events that we have upcoming on April 25th and May 1st. So these events are going to be for our staffing division. And let me tell you, we had some information sessions over the last couple of days, and we had hundreds of participants on listening to why they should consider staffing opportunities right now. So the seats are filling very quickly. So if you are interested in speaking to one of our staffing experts, please apply today, amnhealthcare.com/international if you have not already, and get your place in line today. Again, the seats are filling very quickly, and we want to make sure that you get your opportunity to speak with one of our experts on the many staffing opportunities that we have across the US. So you may be asking yourself, well, why choose staffing? Well, we could talk for an entire show about why you should choose staffing right now, but let's narrow it down to 4 reasons. So number 1 is you can get your I-140 filed immediately to secure that all-important priority date. So we know that that's the most important thing to all of you listening in, is that you get that process started immediately. And so when you work with our staffing division, then you don't need a placement secured in order to get that process started. So again, get your place in line today. Let us help you get started on your process to file your I-140 immediately and secure that all-important priority date. Another great reason, it is the shortest commitment length in the industry at only 2 years. So 2 years is a very, very short time. And, most of our nurses choose to stay where they are originally placed. But after that 2-year commitment, you are free to go wherever you want along with your family. So again, shortest contract commitment in the industry at just 2 years. So while we are in retrogression, you actually have the luxury of time, which is fantastic. So you have time to choose your perfect placement. All right, we're going to be in the process for 18 to 24 months, probably. So this is your opportunity to really do some research along with the help of your recruiter and really looking at what's important to you and your family and where you want to be. So I want to again bring you back to our show last time where we talked about North Carolina, Georgia, and Missouri. And we talked a lot about cost of living, and we talked a lot about like the really great things in those states. And, those are states that you may not have considered previously. I know myself, I was like, oh my gosh, the best beaches in the country are in North Carolina. So really be open to location. And if your location of preference is not available today, like we hear Texas, California, New York, all very desirable locations, right? But I would encourage you to look outside of those as well at the many redeeming qualities on our other states. But the most important thing is you want to get your place in line today, and you have time to choose your perfect placement along the way. Staffing, by choosing staffing, you have a full service support team. I know that this is of paramount importance to our nurses. I know that I would have loved that when I immigrated to the US many, many years ago. But what that full service support means is from your initial call to a recruiter all the way through the end of your assignment, and even beyond that, you have got a support team to help you every step of the way. So when you think of support, think clinical support, think social support, think immigration support, right? So that process can be complex. So we will hold your hand the entire way through, making sure that everything is correct and that there are no delays in your process. We will keep you abreast every step of the way. Think relocation, right? It can be very daunting. So we want to, again, hold your hand every step of the way through that process. So again, we are having exclusive interview events on April 25th and on May 1st. April 25th it's full as far as I know, but there might be a couple of seats available, and May 1st is filling very, very, very quickly. So again, get your place in line, secure your spot today, be open to location, get your I-140 filed immediately, secure that priority date, and I will leave you with dream big, dream smart, and choose AMN Healthcare International. Until the next time.
Thank you, Dee. You know what? Before we let you go, I see we got some questions in the chat. It looks like people are excited about these staffing events, exclusive events. So let's take a couple of those quick questions. I see we have Amma who's asking, I have passed my NCLEX and also completed a bachelor's in nursing, but I'm currently not working at the bedside. Do I qualify to apply? What would you advise, Amma?
Hi, Amma. Thank you for your question. So it depends on how long you haven't been working bedside. What I would tell you is that if you can at all, I would highly encourage you to get back working bedside. Our clients right now are looking for that bedside experience. So that's certainly going to help you in the application process and the interview process. So if it is at all possible for you to secure a job bedside, I would highly, highly encourage you to do so. But again, it does depend how long you have been outside of bedside nursing. So I would have you submit an application anyway. Let you speak to one of our expert recruiters, but your opportunities are going to be far more plentiful if you can secure a bedside position. So hopefully that helps you.
All right. Thank you, Dee. And I think we have one more question that's for you. We have a question from Bismarck. Bismarck says, are there opportunities for laboratory scientists?
Yes, we do have opportunities for laboratory scientists. So please submit your application today. We have a specialized recruiter that deals with our laboratory scientists, and we would be more than happy to help you. So again, apply at amnhealthcare.com/international. And for everybody who is listening, again, please make sure that you get your seat on our exclusive interview events on April 25th and May 1st. We will have subsequent events after that if your schedule doesn't permit you to attend either one of those. But we are very excited to talk to you about the many staffing opportunities that are available right now. And this is the time when you should be considering them. So thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you, Dee. Well, there you have it. You know, constantly on our shows, we get asked, what can I do right now? How can I make my process faster? This is how. You can get filed, get your priority date, get in line, and with our staffing partner, you can get filed right away. So please apply amnhealthcare.com/international if you would like to participate in this exclusive, exciting event. That's amazing that it's filling up so fast. Everybody's going to be trying to get in there. Good thing, hopefully there will be more if you don't get in, so don't worry, but we're going to get you in. All right. Well, thank you, Dee.
Thank you. Until next time.
Until next time. All right, everybody. Well, let's bring out our immigration experts. I know everybody's been patiently waiting. I've been seeing some questions already popping up in the chat. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Chris. How are you both?
Morning. How are you?
Oh, good. I see you got the birthday balloons in the background. Everybody, Mike Hammond's birthday. I'm not gonna share which birthday. It was maybe a triple 20 birthday, so it was a big one.
35.
Oh, actually, it was 35. Me and Mike are about the same age. So everybody should put in happy birthday to Mike in the chat. We want to share him with some birthday love. Before we get started, Mike and Chris, can we take a moment to do some introductions and share why I call you our expert attorneys? So birthday boy, would you like to go first?
Sure. You call us your experts because we're old and have been doing this a really, really, really long time. No, my name is Mike Hammond. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been practicing immigration law for over 30 years. Been doing mainly healthcare and IT staffing. That's my two areas of work. And I've been doing healthcare since 2000. So.
Well, we are very thankful to have you on, Mike. And I say seasoned because you've both seen a thing or two. Chris, let's have you go next.
Great. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I've been doing this for quite a long time as well. So I guess that makes me an expert.
There you go. Well, we have both Mike and Chris on once a month to take your questions. They're here to give you free advice. So let's make use of their time. Please put your questions in the chat, and I will be taking questions. We will also take a pause in a few minutes and do our legal hotline. So if you want to come on live and ask your questions to Mike and Chris, you can do that as well. So let's get started. I see we got lots of questions. So I see Angel says, hello, I'm watching from Jamaica. Hello, Angel. I became current March 2024, but have not yet received an interview date for NBC. Is there anything in the lawyer or I can do at this point? Mike, you want to go ahead and take this one?
Sure. So I'm assuming that you're actually asking about your interview at the consulate, not NBC paperwork. If you've become current in March last month, then your NBC paperwork is likely already done and you've already been qualified, DQ'd. The interview time that it takes varies by consulate. There are a few consulates that are outliers and are taking a considerable amount of time, but most consulates you're going to get an interview scheduled within about 90 days, 120 days. So the fact you have an interview scheduled yet and you're in April and it's only been current for about 5 weeks is not unusual at all. Also keep in mind that consulates have different interview processes, the way they process. Some you self-schedule based upon some directions and others they schedule. So you want to talk to your account manager, your attorney, to find out exactly how the interview process is going to work in your country, wherever you're immigrating from, or wherever you're having your interview at. But the fact that you're now 6 weeks after you became current is not unusual at all. Matter of fact, you're in the early stages, so not be concerned about that.
All right. Well, there you go, Angel. There's some good information for you. So actually, you know what? I want to take a step back. We did not talk about the May Visa Bulletin. So let's bring up the May Visa Bulletin. And Chris, I'd like to turn to you if you could give us what the update we got, or rather, I guess, lack thereof, from the May Visa Bulletin.
Yeah, Danielle. I mean, really what we could do is we could just rewind what Mike and I discussed 30 days ago, because there was no change on the May Visa Bulletin. Indeed, I think, though, looking forward, since I know everyone always wants to have Mike and I take a guess as to what might be happening in the future. I don't want to speak for Mike. He can offer his opinion, but my opinion is that we likely will see no progression for the rest of this fiscal year, which runs from now until September 30th. Could it move a week or two? I guess I wouldn't be surprised about that, but no significant progression. Indeed, it wouldn't surprise me if in the summer or in August, September timeframe, if we actually saw a U appear under all other EB3 and the Philippine EB3. And what that would indicate is that the U.S. government has entirely exhausted the allotment of visas for that category. So I think that could happen. I wouldn't get too panicked if I were people, because then the new fiscal year will start October 1st, in which case a new tranche of 140,000 visas will be released. And then we should see things move back normally. And hopefully we will see progressions into the new fiscal year. That's the good news. But the bad news is I do think for the next few months until October 1st, we probably won't see any progression of any significance.
Okay, so just so I understand, so if you are current, as in you have a date that's prior to that November 22nd, 2022 date, could you become, I guess, quote, uncurrent during the summer? Could it go backwards? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that could happen, because there are 140,000 visas in all employment-based visa categories. And so what the U.S. government does is they actually extend out, or what they're supposed to do is extend out the visa bulletin, maybe even a little beyond 140,000, because what they are trying to do, the U.S. government are trying to do, is make sure that all 140,000 visas are used by September 30th, because the way the law is currently written, if the U.S. government does not issue 140,000 visas by October 1st, those visas disappear. Indeed, back when Mike and I had full heads of hair and were first doing this in the 90s and early 2000s, it was not uncommon for the U.S. government to maybe only use 115,000 or 120,000, leaving 20 or 25,000 short. To their credit, over the last 15 or 20 years, COVID years aside, the U.S. government's been very good about getting to exactly 140,000. And one of the ways they do that is by overshooting a little bit. But because they overshoot a little bit, there's a chance that you can, or the government can, exhaust all of the visas, even though there might be some that are current. So all of which is a long way of saying that if you are current and you are moving through the system and you have a visa interview date, you should do your best to make sure that you attend that visa interview. Don't try to change it, even if it's inconvenient. And, for argument's sake, you're living in the Middle East, but your appointment's in Manila, for argument's sake. My advice is you take that appointment in Manila, because by the time you switch that appointment to, for argument's sake, the UAE, they may exhaust 140,000 visas, in which case you may be waiting until the next fiscal year to get your next appointment date.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, if you are current, try to get that interview scheduled ASAP and go to that interview ASAP. Right?
That's right.
All right. Okay, got it. Okay, I know we're going to have this question in the chat. I can already see it. Mike, what do you think is going to happen in October when there's a reset? Do you have any predictions, any thoughts?
Well, I think easy and obvious answer is we're going to move forward again. The key question is, well, how far forward are we going to move? And there is some analysis being done by a lot of people, which sometimes analysis turns into like guesswork. But one of the things the Department of State did put out in the last bulletin is they put out a inventory chart that tells how many people are in the queue. Now, those inventory charts can always be misleading because people can often be in more than one queue. You can have family members, two spouses both have an I-140, but they're going to only obviously immigrate under one. So, but we are trying to make some predictions based upon that. But I would agree with Chris completely that I don't expect any forward movement the rest of this year. The only thing that's a little unsettling about this year is we have a date for filing chart that was February 2023, and we only made it up through November of 2022. And I know that they try to make the calculations such that by the end of the fiscal year, the final action date chart matches the date for filing chart. And they fell what that amounts to about 3 months short this year. So that's a little bit disturbing big picture. But I definitely expect forward movement in October. And obviously that bulletin will come out in September. So that will be maybe the occasion for more balloons in a party. The September bulletin comes out if it has a lot of forward movement. So.
All right. Well, so we're going to be waiting till September, and then we're going to see, you have 3 balloons behind you, Mike. You're going to have triple the balloons, more balloons when the visa bulletin comes out for the new fiscal year. That's our hope.
Okay.
All right. So everybody, we are putting the link to join our legal hotline. If you would like to come on and ask your questions live, you can click on that link. Please keep your questions general so that everybody can benefit, and please plan to have your camera on. So if you are interested in joining, please join that link. While we are waiting for our viewers who I know are anxious to join the legal hotline, let's take a couple of other questions. I see we got a lot of questions from all over the world. So Chris, I'm going to turn to you for this next question. Claricel says, what is the difference of the final date action and filing in the visa bulletin? Can you please clarify that for us?
No, it's a good question. It's a little bit off what Mike was just discussing, which is that there's 2 charts. There's a chart A, which is final action, and a chart B, which is dates of filing. So the chart A is the more important chart because that's the final action chart. That is the date in which someone is eligible to get a green card. Let's just back up a step. Broadly speaking, there's 2 ways for your green card. If you are in the United States, perhaps you're on a student visa, you're on an H-1 visa, you're a TN, something like that. Then your visa interview happens domestically here in the United States. So you'll have a visa interview if you're here in Cincinnati, where Mike and I are. You might have your visa interview down in the Cincinnati USCIS office. Quick aside, most employment-based cases, that interview is waived, so it's not terribly common. But for the purposes of this, let's pretend you have you're in the United States. You would have your visa appointment, your final interview with USCIS domestically in the United States. That process is called adjustment of status. The parallel process, which I assume most people who are on this call, their interviews happen overseas. They can happen in Manila, London, anywhere around the world. And so that process is called the consular process, and it's administered to some degree by something called the National Visa Center. So many of you may have heard that terminology. So the National Visa Center is for consular cases. The adjustment of status process is for domestic interview cases. What the second chart is, the dates of filing chart, it means generally, and you have to check every month to read the visa bulletin more precisely. If you're on the USCIS side of the equation, if you're current on the dates of filing chart, you are eligible to file your I-485, even though you are not eligible to actually have your appointment. The idea there being that the U.S. government can start to process your I-45, perhaps do background checks, do other work to verify that you are eligible for the visa. The one thing the U.S. government can't do if you're current on the dates of filing chart is actually have you attend that interview and issue the green card unless and until you are current on the final action chart. Similarly, historically, what that dates of filing chart meant was that your case could proceed through the National Visa Center for purposes of scheduling your interview at the overseas embassy. But again, you could not have your embassy appointment concluded and your visa issued unless you were current on the final action chart. We have seen in the last, maybe post-COVID, that the NVC process seems to happen almost regardless of where your priority date is on the dates of filing chart. So that's a little sort of a weaker correlation. We may see that kind of go back to historical standards in light of the fact that in a post-COVID world, they've sort of renormalized some of the visa processes. But in any event, those are the two ideas. And so one of the things that Mike said a little earlier that I think is worth repeating is, generally speaking, when we see the dates of filing chart in October, which is the first month of the fiscal year, it is supposed to be a bit of a predictor as to what the final action dates will be in 12 months' time. So for instance, if in October this year, we see a dates of filing chart, and I'm completely making this up, there's no science to this, we see a dates of filing chart in October for EB3 of January 1st, 2024, that means that the U.S. government, to the best of their ability, which is sometimes very bad ability, but to the best of their ability, they are assuming that over the course of that fiscal year, the EB3 date would move from today's number of November of 22 to, under my example, January 1st of 2024. So that sort of describes, I think, Danielle, the interplay between the dates of filing chart and the final action chart.
Okay, lots of good information. Thank you for Chris for giving us the rundown. Claricel, I hope that was helpful. I know we have somebody waiting backstage, ready to join our legal hotline. We got lots of people who got lots of questions. So once again, if you want to join the hotline, the link is in the chat. Let's bring out our first questionnaire. Hello, Soy Soy. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Where are you calling in from?
I'm from the Philippines.
Well, welcome to our show. We are happy to have you. What is your question for attorneys Mike and Chris?
Good evening from the Philippines, attorney. I am asking because I have a question because I have filed my I-140 last February. Since then, I received an email regarding since it is not current, I will not proceed to in VC bill. Is that right? Is there any way that I can proceed to in VCP bill since it's retrogression as of the moment?
So I'm hearing that you said you have your I-140 filed, but you're not current, and you'd like to know if you can proceed to the NVC, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mike, let's turn to you for this one. What advice do you have for Soy Soy?
Yeah, so kind of a little takeoff on Chris's explanation, but if your priority date is prior to the date for filing chart, you said you were February of 2023 filed or February of 2024? You're on mute. Sorry, I think you're on mute, man. Okay, well, if your priority date is February 2024, then your case will likely, oh, there you go, you're back now. Is it February 2023 or February 2024?
February 2024.
Okay, so you are not current under the date for filing chart or the final action date chart. So in theory, you would not go to the MVC would not start working on your paperwork. However, you've only been filed for like 2 months and approved. So that means that even under normal processing, if the NVC were processing a case like yours, you still wouldn't get a fee bill for several more months. So generally speaking, if the NVC starts following their old practice, then you will not get a fee bill until your priority date is after the date for filing chart, which today is January 1st, 2023. Okay, so it may be a little while before you get a fee bill issued.
Can I get an email with regards to the update? Can I get an email? The NBC
They
or
don't
the
email updates until there's action. When they want action, whether they want a fee bill to be paid or whether they want documents, whatever, or they're missing something or they have a clarification on something, that's when they communicate to you. They don't communicate to you simply to say, we have your case and nothing has happened.
understood. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Soy, for coming on and asking your question. We hope you got some good advice from Attorney Mike. All right. So I hear we have more people backstage. We have lots of people joining the legal hotline. So if you want to join, you can click on the link in our chat and come on and ask your questions live. Sam, are you with us?
Hello.
Hi,
Yes,
Sam.
I'm here.
Hey, where are you calling in from?
I'm okay, thanks. How are you? I'm calling from London. I have a
well, welcome.
I have
We're
a question.
Go ahead and ask your question.
I have a question. Sorry, I'm working here with a skilled worker visa as a nurse, but my original passport is from Iran. So my NCLEX exam is in 2 months. I have applied for NCLEX exam, and I have signed up with Texas Board of Nursing. So I wanted to know, if I pass my exam, how long is it going to take for me with Iranian passport to get my visa for EB3? And is it good for me to apply for EB3 or EB1? And can I apply before NCLEX exam for interview right now or not?
Okay, so I hear lots of questions in that one. So let's take as many general questions as we can so that the audience can also, benefit from the questions. So Chris, I'm going to turn to you for this one. I think in general, probably Sam's question as well as many other viewers is kind of how long do you think the process is going to take?
Right. So Sam, you do need to do a few things. So first of all, and here's the takeaway, you're not unfortunately very close to coming to the US. So I wouldn't quit my job or anything like that. You still have to do at least 2 significant things and maybe a few others. So first, your education, I assume, is being evaluated by the State of Texas's Board of Nursing. Assuming your education is deemed consistent, they will allow you to take the NCLEX exam. It sounds perhaps like you're going to take it in about 3 months. You have to pass the NCLEX exam. The second thing you absolutely have to do is you have to find a U.S. immigration sponsor, an employer. It can be AMN, for instance. It can be one of AMN's clients. That might be a good place for you to start. Now, because the U.S. immigration process is not a self-petitioning process for the most part, employers have to sponsor you. So AMN or perhaps one of AMN's clients can sponsor you for a visa. So they might file so if you pass the NCLEX in, I don't know, July, and then AMN is able to find you a sponsor in, let's say, August, your petition might be filed in September of 2024. It will then take probably about 2 years before you would have your visa interview. So that would be maybe the fall of 2026. And during that time, you will have to do a few other things. You'll have to get what's called a visa screen. And the key component of the visa screen that you'll still be short of, perhaps, is an English fluency exam. So you'll have to take an English fluency exam and then submit those exam results to an organization called CGFNS or an organization called Joseph Silney Associates. And Joseph Silney Associates can issue a healthcare worker certificate, or CGFNS can issue you their healthcare worker certificate, which is called a visa screen. So you're still, as I mentioned, a good 2 years out from coming to the United States. You'll almost surely want your case filed under EB3. You probably don't qualify for EB1. Very few people qualify for EB1. So those are the steps you'll still need to take. But good luck, Sam.
Yes, so thank you very much for your explanation. So you're saying that it's going to take 2 years from September 2024 for my visa.
That happens in the timeline I talked about. Yeah, you're looking at about 2 years, so September of 2026. But that presumes you pass the NCLEX exam, you find a U.S. employer like AMN or one of AMN's clients who's willing to sponsor you, and then they can quickly file your petition in, for argument's sake, September. Presuming all of those things happen, then I do think it'll be something like the summer or fall of 2026.
So why am I not qualified for applying for EB1 visa?
Do you have a Nobel Prize?
I have no idea what it is.
Have you won an Academy Award for Best Actress or Actor or something like that? Or
no.
Sam, it's a very high standard. I apologize if you hadn't won a Nobel Prize, though.
Thank you very much, Daniel and Chris, for your information.
I wouldn't
Thanks a lot.
qualify for the EB1 as well, but maybe Mike or Danielle would. But I've already got an American passport, so I don't need to do it.
Yeah, I got my Oscar in the background. You guys didn't see my Oscar?
Right.
All right. Sam, for coming on. We appreciate you joining and asking your questions. I see we got lots of questions in the chat. We got lots of questions from our legal hotline. We got lots of people joining. So real quick, before we bring on our next question for the legal hotline, I saw we have a question from Willis here, who's asking direct hire or staffing with a question mark. I just wanted to let you know, Willis here, at AMN Healthcare International, we have both staffing and direct hire options. So our recruiters are on hand. They're ready and waiting to help you decide what's going to be the best fit for you. You can apply at our website, amnhealthcare.com/international, and we will help you find a position in the United States. We are the only company to offer both direct hire and staffing. So you don't have to worry with us. We can help you figure it out. We can help you reach that American dream. All right. So let's bring on our next guest to the legal hotline. I know we got lots of questions, not so much time. Are we having Sam back? I think we had a lot of other people backstage. I heard it was popping backstage. All right. I see we have Alfred. Alfred, are you with us? Alfred, you're on mute if you're with us. Oh, I see we have Mark. Mark, you're on mute. Are you with us? Everybody's on mute this morning. Hi, Mark. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you so much.
Where are you watching from?
I'm here in Dubai.
Oh, in Dubai. Okay, very nice. I heard Dubai airport is now the busiest airport in the world. Or it's a busy city. What's your question for our attorneys?
I do just have a question with regards to my case, because I signed already a contract since July of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And then I received already, I think they proceeded for my I-140 application, but then I received a feedback which it says it's administratively closed. So I just wanted to know what would probably the reason why my case was being closed. Is there any instances that would be any problem from?
Okay, so sounds like you were filed last summer.
Yes.
Your I-140 was
Yes.
filed, you got a priority date, and then suddenly you got a notification that your case was administratively
Yes.
closed.
Yes, correct. But actually, I don't receive any confirmation yet about my priority date. So
Okay.
I just, every time I checked on the status of my case online, and it always shows that my case was administratively closed.
Okay.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be a little hard without more information,
Mhm.
but maybe we can turn to Mike. What reasons may you have for why a case would get administratively closed?
Well, I think the real answer for Mark is that, Mark, you need to speak to your whoever your sponsor was, your recruiter, or if you have an account rep or account manager, someone like that you've been in communication with your sponsor to find out what happened in your particular case. Because this is a unique personal question. Very rarely are cases administratively closed, and I don't think it'd be fair to speculate in your situation. So I would direct you to your recruiter or account rep to see if they can give you some more insight as to what is actually happening in your case. Going online to the USCIS is not going to provide you information as to why an action was taken, or whether that's even an accurate representation of what's happening in your case.
Okay.
Sorry.
But is there any instances probably like why is it closed? Did you encounter like attorney before? Is there like a cases
I
same
would
as
have
mine?
no idea why your case was
Okay.
administratively closed.
Okay. Mhm.
All right. Well, sounds like, Mark,
Okay
that's some
then.
good advice from attorney Mike. You should go back to your sponsor, your recruiter, your agent that
Okay.
you're working with, and find out what happened in your unique circumstances. Because we would just be speculating here, and we don't want to give anybody
Okay.
any wrong advice.
Yeah.
That's
I
definitely going to be
understand.
the best advice. Well,
Okay.
thank you for coming on, Mark. We appreciate your time and your question. Let's take our next question from the legal hotline. Who do we have up next? Oh, we have Alfred back. Alfred, can you hear us?
Hello, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I can hear
Hello.
you.
Where are you watching from, Alfred?
I'm from the Philippines, ma'am.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we're so happy to have you here, Alfred. What is your question for our attorneys?
Yes, I have my case specialist just recently told me that I should complete my documents, like specifically the documents of my dependents, like their passports, before I can file for the I-140. But I am just wondering if I can go ahead first as the main applicant, as because I'm having a hard time getting a schedule at our Department of Foreign Affairs here in the Philippines. So I'm just worried it may cause delay.
Okay. So Chris, I kind of see you shaking your head like this. So I think we're going to turn to you for this one. What are your thoughts for Alfred on getting his documents complete and filing his I-140 and the time?
I think generally we like to see the spouse and children's documents in with the I-140. Having said that, it's not mandatory, Alfred. So you may want to talk to your account rep and your lawyer and tell them that you don't know when this is going to happen, and to have them go ahead and file your I-140, even though you don't have maybe your children's information. I would include your spouse, though, if your spouse has a passport, I'd include their information. In any event, so that's what I would suggest to you, especially if it's going to be just a few weeks. I might wait a few weeks, but if it's going to be anything more than that, go ahead and ask them to file your I-140. It's not mandatory that you include your spouse and children's information. That can be added on later in the process.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you so much, Sir Chris.
All right, Alfred, thank you for coming on and asking your question. Good luck with your filing. That's very exciting. If you are like Alfred and you want to get immediately filed, if you missed at the beginning of our show, we have exclusive staffing events happening on April 25th and May 1st. And if you would like to get immediately filed, that is a great way to do that. You can apply on our website, amnhealthcare.com/international, and take part in these exclusive events. And if you missed it, we have 2-year contracts, which is the shortest in the industry. So if you're thinking about going staffing, definitely a great option for you. And you can learn all about staffing, all about our different employers, and you know, all that good stuff, and reach your American dream. Get yourself filed, just like Alfred is. All right, let's see. I think we have lots of people backstage. I see we have so many questions. We are coming up on time, but we're going to take as many as we can. So let's bring in our next audience member to ask a question on the legal hotline. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Victor. Where are you watching from?
Hello, good morning. My name is Victor. I'm calling from working from Canada, actually.
Oh, wonderful. Not too far from us.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
What's your question, Victor?
Yeah, my question. I'm currently in my sort of final year nursing school, and I plan on taking my NCLEX around the month of September. And I do have a question. I'm a citizen right now, and I wanted to know which is preferable. Is it coming down the route of a TN or waiting with the backlogs, issues, and all the stuff for EB3?
Okay, that's a great question, Victor. So if anybody missed it, Victor is a Canadian citizen, so he can avail himself of a TN visa, or the other option is to come on the EB3. So, Mike, let's turn to you for this one. What advice do you have for Victor on his visa options?
Yeah, Victor, I would say that every employer in the U.S. would prefer you to come in on a TN. Because if you have your passed your NCLEX and you also have your visa screen, which is a necessary part of getting a TN, and you had those today on a Friday, you could come in the U.S. and start working on Monday. So the processing time to get a TN is, you do it at the airport, you do it at the border crossing. So it's super fast. And obviously, U.S. Employers would like you to be able to work as quickly as you possibly can. Now, for you, that may or may not be the best route from a family perspective. If you have a spouse and your spouse has a career and wants to keep working, you coming in on a TN will not allow your spouse to work because the spouse, there's no work authorization for, spouses of TNs. So that's a consideration. If you have other situations with other kids in school where you're wanting them to finish a certain grade before they move down to the U.S., that may be a consideration where you might prefer to wait in line. Also, keep in mind the line you're waiting in, the retrogression or the queue is not based upon country of citizenship, based on country of birth. So I don't know where you were born. Victor, where were you born, if you don't mind telling us?
Nigeria.
Okay, so you're still in the the rest of the world category, so the line is not that bad. So you may decide that for me and my family, we would rather wait here until we can come in as green card holders. And then you're gonna have to find a hospital or an employer that's willing to wait 2 years when otherwise they could have you in a week. But if you're only talking speed, the TN is the route to go. And you can always do an EB3 once you get here and obviously working on the TN.
Okay, you just answered my second question about the EB3. Okay, so once I'm there, I can, sort of change my route virtually. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's nice thing about you, and it's similar to the staffing model, is that on a TN, you're committing to working for this hospital, Hospital A. And then if you don't like Hospital A, or maybe they don't like you, or you don't like living in wherever you're living, you can easily take that TN and move it, transfer it to Hospital B and Hospital C and D. And you can spend quite a bit of time working at different hospitals on your TN before you ever make a commitment of, hey, I'm going to be in this long EB3 process, where for the next, say, 2 years, maybe processing in the US might be closer to 2.5, where you're going to need to be committed basically to the same hospital. So the TN gives you some career flexibility that the EB3 process does not.
Okay. Okay. And if my spouse is working from home currently, she's working from home currently, she can work from anywhere. She can technically work from the US as well, right?
No. Working from home in the US is considered employment in the US, and she needs a visa to do that.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Okay,
there you
thank you.
go, Victor. A lot of good information, a lot of things to consider when
Yep.
you are looking at different visas and different options for yourself. And if you're considering your family, I think our best advice that I always hear on the shows from our attorney experts is to consult your attorney. Let
I
them
agree.
help you figure out what's going to be the best route for you and for your family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor, for being on. All right. So I know we got lots of people backstage. We got lots of questions in the chat, and we are limited on time. So we are going to look at some of the questions in the chat, because I know everybody wants us to get to them, and we've been on the legal hotline, which is very exciting. But we want to get to everybody in the chat as well. So I see there are a couple of questions about H-1Bs. And if that's an option to file an H-1B at the same time as an EB-3. Chris, is this an option for our nurses?
I mean, conceivably, yes, but it's not just your decision. Both of these visa processes are very expensive. And so whether you're going to be filed on the EB-3 or if you have an employer who qualifies for the H-1B, which candidly, there's not many of them, then they may want to file for the H-1B. My personal experience is most cases are filed EB-3. Other cases are filed H-1B, but if you're filed H-1B, once you land in the United States after a period of time, maybe 6 months or so, then the hospital or the staffing company is willing to then go ahead and file for your EB-3. So what I would say is it's either only EB-3 or H-1B and then eventually EB-3.
All right, there you have it, Session. Hopefully that helps to answer that question about filing under EB-3 or H-1B. A related question I see we have from Edison. Edison says, what is the chances of an H-1B spouse to be able to work? Is there any routes to get a work permit for the spouse? Mike, let's turn to you for this one.
Okay, so it sounds like if your spouse qualifies for an H-1B, then your spouse would be able to get sponsored for an H-1B and then work. So your spouse's ability to work would be completely independent of yours. So I'm not sure I have enough information to answer, but yes, if your spouse qualifies for an H-1B, your spouse is a med tech, your spouse is a PT, they're outside the healthcare space and they're an engineer or whatever the case may be, any other occupation that qualifies for an H-1B, then your spouse can independently get an H-1B and work.
Okay, and what if your spouse does not qualify for an H-1B, but you're here on an H-1B? Like you're here as an H-1B nurse.
Yeah, then your spouse comes in on what's called an H-4, and then your spouse can get an EAD card after you have an I-140 approved.
All right, there we go. So some good information for you. And if you are watching along and you're hearing all these acronyms, TN visa, EB-3, H-1B, it can all be a little bit confusing. We have special guidebooks that are free on our website that you can go ahead and download. We're going to put the link in the chat, and they go through all of the ins and outs of all of these different visa options. There are some hot tips in there, some good information that can apply to you and to your family. So feel free to click on the link in our chat and make sure that you can get all the information you need, because information is power. And here at AMN International, we want to make sure that we equip you with all of the information you need to reach your American dream. All right, so I know we have a couple minutes left. Let's try and take one or two more questions. So I see Jessica says, hi, my I-140 was filed in April. There was no premium processing done, unfortunately. I get why, though. How long before I know when my priority date is? Chris?
Well, assuming your I-140 gets approved, you already know what your priority date is. So that's good news. It's the date that your petition was receipted in at the USCIS. So if it was filed April 1st, your petition was probably receipted in, I don't know, April 5th or something like that. and then that would be your priority date. Again, it presumes that your I-140 gets approved. Of course, if your I-140 doesn't get approved, then you don't have a priority date, but then again, you don't really have a green card petition. So.
All right. Well, there you go, Jessica. Assuming all is well and good, you know what your priority date is. So you can figure that out and you are in line. So if you are watching and you would also like to get your process started, you would like to get in line, which right now we're in a period of retrogression. And the best thing you can do is get your place in line, get your process started. You can apply on our website, amnhealthcare.com/international. And our recruiters on both the direct hire and staffing side are available to help you. And especially excited to place you in our staffing exclusive event on April 25th and May 1st. So if you want to get that place in line, you want to get that priority date, that's how you're going to do it. We're going to help you. All right, everybody. I know we had a lot of questions, so we are going to get to those next time. Thank you to Mike and Chris for your time today. We really appreciate it. A big happy birthday to Mike Hammond. I saw lots of happy birthdays in the chat, so I'm sure he's feeling the birthday love.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mike and Chris. Before we go, we are going to turn to our clinical corner with Holly and hear what she has to say. Thank you, Mike and Chris, for your time, and we'll see you next month for our live immigration update.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right, we are going to turn to Holly now for the clinical corner. We're going to... Good morning, Holly. How you doing today?
Good morning, Danielle. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. We are so excited to hear what hot tips you have from us from the clinical corner. Let's turn it over to you.
All right. Hi, everyone. This morning's clinical corner tip is to talk a little bit about floating. So if you've heard the term before, I'll explain just in case you may have a different idea than what it would be here in the US, which is the practice of assigning a nurse to go to a unit or a department that is different from what you may call your home unit or your regular unit. And this happens often for extremely good and important reasons. Maybe there were staff on that unit that weren't able to make it and they need some coverage to ensure patient care is completed. Sometimes patient census fluctuates, and so we'll see nurses be shifted to cover certain areas. But when you're floated to that unit, of course, the primary thing that seems to happen with some nurses is they get a little bit stressed. They're concerned about how they're going to cope with what might be different from where their comfort zone is. And so almost from the point of being notified that they may be traveling to a different unit for the day, they may start to question, like, how is this going to work and what am I going to do? So I want to talk for a couple minutes about some tips for that and how you can not only survive, but thrive. So the first thing that you want to think about is emotionally, the time spent stressing might be better spent preparing. And so look at, okay, have I been to this unit before? Are there things that I need to maybe explore immediately? I don't want to delay in getting there. I want to make the most of the time I have before I have to get out and see patients. So preparation is key. And if you delay that by kind of getting really stressed out about the situation, that actually could make it worse. So when you have a good degree of clinical competence, your clinical skills are always going to be something to fall back on. And you have to remind yourself, I'm an experienced nurse. I know foundational nursing. I can handle sick patients. And this may be a different unit, a different routine, obviously a different team than what you're used to, but all the more reason to reassure yourself, I am a strong clinician and I am going to be okay. All right. The other thing you have to think about is being adaptable. So sometimes nurses are going to float to your unit and they're going to maybe be looking around and saying, I don't know where I'm supposed to find this or that, or I don't know who the team is. I don't know who the charge nurse is. And So if you've seen that happen or experienced that, you know how it feels helping others. But when it comes your time to float to a different unit, being flexible, being adaptable, just in general as a good approach for best practice for being able to survive a lot of the different challenges that come your way. If you are a good communicator, and we talked about this on the previous clinical corner about speaking up. So effective communication is also what helps us to start to build bonds with that team that we're not familiar with rather quickly. And so we want to ask questions. We want to request a tour of the unit if we've never been there before. We want to request any resources, maybe references that might be available on the unit that we can go to if we need them, whether it's a physical reference like a binder or a team member who just really seems to be able to help a lot of people figure things out quickly and be a good resource. Critical thinking skills are going to serve you well in this situation. So that comes down to how we properly prioritize, also staying organized. We don't want to be constantly, just doing things without thinking about, is this the most organized way to set up my day? And if you have those skills already in your skill set, then you're going to be much better off than if you're just randomly trying to get things done. So it can't be just, I have a to-do list. It has to be, I've organized it according to important priorities, clinically speaking, and we all know how to do that. So again, remind yourself, I already have these skills and they're going to help me survive any situation. I also have resources and I'm going to make sure to use them and speak up. Different units may have different cultures, and I'm not just talking about ethnicity or where somebody was born or where they've lived, but also other types of cultures that exist. And so being open and curious and flexible and respectful is very important to be able to respect the needs of the patients, the diverse population that you serve, and also the diverse team around you. Be a team player. So if you're not able to look around you and say, hey, I need help, but I may also need to be help, and it has to go both ways, that can get you in a lot of trouble on your home unit. It becomes more difficult when you're away from your home unit and you're hoping to survive that shift with all those things that you have to navigate that may be a little different. Be confident, and remind yourself of the skills you already have. Learn proactively. So if you know there's something that's going to stress you out, make sure you're seeking out that information, and be positive about it. So it's very easy to get into a very negative mindset because you're finding out, this is going to be a tough day. Look at it as an opportunity to shine and to learn and to grow your skill set. If you keep that negativity inside, it kind of tends to drive your day in a negative direction. So it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, which we don't want to happen to anybody. Finally, I'll say this. When I worked on a unit where I had a wonderful team around me, I had to leave that team and go somewhere else, I got stressed. And what I found is if I reacted to that negatively, maybe I started looking at, is it really my turn? Maybe someone else's turn. By the time I finally got to my unit and started dealing with all of those other challenges that came, I was behind, and it made that day even more stressful. So I changed my attitude and my thought process to try and be able to cope. And all of the things that I've mentioned were tools and strategies that helped me to be successful when I floated. I ended up making some good friends and connecting with colleagues that I didn't work with all the time, but I still was able to maintain a collegial bond with them over time. So then when they came to my unit, I was able to help them survive too. That's it for the Clinical Corner today. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching.
All right. Thank you, Holly, for coming on and sharing all these tips and tricks and different thoughts that we need to keep in our minds, and having us on the Clinical Corner. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, we're at the close of the hour. Thank you for joining us today for our live immigration Q&A. I love this new legal hotline that we're doing. You get to come on, you get to ask your questions. find out all the information you need to reach your American dream. So join us next month when we have our live immigration Q&A, and you can come on the legal hotline and ask your questions. So let's pull up our schedule for the rest of the next few months. For our upcoming shows, we have Onwards and Upwards and the LaFora Talk Show, both at 7 a.m. On May 3rd, we have Career Day. So this is your chance to learn about our different employers, learn where they are, where they're located, what they're offering, what they're looking for. Come to Career Day prepared with your questions. May 17th, we have that immigration Q&A. So it's your time to ask your questions, get all the information you need. Knowledge is power, as I'd always say. May 31st, Nurses Month special. We have a special program for you at the end of May to celebrate Nurses Month. And LaFora Talk Show on May 14th, we have Nurses Month game show. It's going to be a fun one. And we want to hear from you. What do you want to see? What topics do you want us to cover? Please put in the chat what you'd like to see on our upcoming shows. We love to hear from our audience. We want to make sure this information is helpful for you as you are going through your journey. We also have our AMN Academy, which is every Monday at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have our partners iPass, 9.09er, and Aspire RN that come on and teach free classes, everybody. This is free information on the English and the NCLEX. So please watch every Monday at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and take advantage of those free classes. And once again, if you missed it, our Dream Jobs with Dee, she talked about our exclusive staffing events that are happening on April 25th and May 1st. So if you are interested in looking at staffing and getting immediately filed, you can apply on our website, amnhealthcare.com/international. Once again, we're the only company that has both staffing and direct hire, and we have those exciting staffing exclusive events coming up. So make sure to get your place in line, get your priority date. That's our best advice on all of these immigration Q&As. Get started, and we are happy and excited to help you reach your American dream, just like we have for so many nurses before you and so many nurses currently, which is great. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for your questions and for participating in the legal hotline. It was great to hear and see from everybody, and I will see you next time. Onwards and upwards, everybody.